Take Travel Inside Out. I'm Annita in Georgia.
And I'm Stephen in Hong Kong. But as you can see from our backgrounds, we're somewhere else, somewhere tropical, which is great because it gives me an excuse to wear my tropical shirt again. So, Annita, tell us exactly what the show is about today.
Oh, well, I'm so excited for this show because I have my good friend Sharla Smith on the show with me, who is with Paul Gauguin Cruises, also known as PG Cruises. And she is the sales director for the Southeast area of the U.S. And she's also a good friend of mine. We've traveled together on a PG cruise. So
yes,
welcome to the show because the show is going to be all about selling in the South Pacific.
Thank you, Yorana. That means hello in Tahitian.
Well, we're so happy to have you here. We've been wanting to get you on to talk about this beautiful area of really the world and all the things that people can see and do when they take one of your cruises.
I'm excited to be here. You know how passionate I am about this product in this part of the world. It's just so very, very special.
Yes. Yeah, Annita, I think you've actually been on one of these cruises, haven't you? Tell us about your cruise experience.
Well, yes, I was actually on the cruise with Sharla. Sharla was on there with her best friend. I was on there with one of my, consider your best friend as well, with one of my best friends, Yvette. We had a great 11-day cruise. We went all around the Society Islands, the Cook Islands. It was just everywhere. I mean, Tahiti, we had a great time. A lot of really small islands that I think a lot of people don't know about, but that's what we're here today to talk about, some of those smaller islands.
That's right.
I mean, that blue water. As a matter of fact, Sharla, I think I asked you if you ought to do something to the water to make it that color because it's hard to believe it's naturally so beautiful like that.
Oh, yeah, we do. Every day we go out and we dye it. It just,
keeps you busy.
Right? It's all about the coral. It's all about the depth of the water, as it is everywhere. You go to the Caribbean, the Mediterranean, the darker the water, the deeper the water. And then as you get in these tranquil lagoons, like where Annita is, it's perfect, that turquoise. So the lighter the color of the water, the more shallow it is, the clearer it is. It's amazing because there's some part of the South Pacific where you actually have 200-foot clarity.
Wow.
I mean, it just blows your mind. Can you imagine? You're at the top of the water, snorkeling, looking 200 feet below, and it's as clear as your bathtub.
That's amazing. Well, I have to be honest, the only cruise I've been on is 25 years ago when I went on a cruise to the Mediterranean. But I have to say what I liked is it gave me a little taster of lots of different places that I then went back and visited for a longer time. But never been on one of your cruises yet, Sharla, but that's definitely top of my bucket list.
Absolutely.
We are waiting for you, Stephen, so you're welcome anytime. Come on
down. Oh, that's amazing. Get my place there.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump right into this because I'm so excited to share what we both, love about this area. Stephen and I both do. So we asked Sharla to come on to talk about Paul Gauguin Cruises. So Sharla, let's start with that. Just tell us a little bit about Paul Gauguin Cruises and, just what makes it, different.
Well, that what makes us different is we're really more about the destination than we are a cruise. I know you just said, Stephen, you've been on a cruise, and I know Anita's been on several, and I'm sure a lot of the people watching this have too. But what makes us different is, again, we're about the destination. We immersed you in this part of the world, even have some of the local people on board to act as your host and your host. We call them the Gauguins. Those are the young ladies, and the Gauguins are the young gentlemen. And they are your hosts throughout the voyage, as Annita can, attest to. They have culture classes, arts and crafts. Remember when we wove the little leis and hays and bracelets out of the coconut tree? And they have dance and music, put on a Polynesian feast with them. So we want to bring that destination alive to you before you ever step foot off of that ship. And again, because the ship is small, we only have 332 passengers on board, and it's a very shallow hold ship. So that lagoon behind Annita, our ship can get in and out of those lagoons. And so unlike a lot of cruises, like Stephen just said, they're samplers. I call it the appetizer menu. We can stay overnight in the port. We can stay longer. We might not be able to stay 24 hours, but we might stay 12 hours because we're heading through lagoons rather than going around an entire island destination. So it does make it a different experience altogether.
That's amazing. Sharla, can you tell us about some of the destinations and itineraries for Paul Gauguin Cruises?
Oh, well, the one Annita and I did is one of my personal favorites, and also our guest. It's a favorite. They combined the Society Islands, which are part of French Polynesia. So you have French protectorate islands, British protectorate islands. As we know, throughout Asia, they were settled by different European nations. So French Polynesia is comprised of several different island groups, the Tuamotus, the Marquesas, and then, of course, the Society Islands, which are the best known. Those 5 islands being Tahiti, Bora Bora, Moorea, Huahine, and Ta'a, the little vanilla island. And that you can do in a 7-night. Anita and I basically took a 7-night, and then we did it for 4 more nights, and we went over to the Cook Islands, which are part of the New Zealand Maorian ancestry, and they're also British protectorate. So, you get the French and you get the British. It's 2 different island groups. So that's a lovely 11-night cruise. The 14-night Marquesas, you stay only in French Polynesia, but you get to see those 3 island groups in 14 nights, the Society, Tuamotus, and the Marquesas. And I tell you, the Marquesas are fascinating. Yeah. And they're very remote. They're very to get to. There's a freighter that goes through there. I think there's 1 flight a week, and on a very, very small plane, and then Paul Gauguin. So when we go, we stop at 3 to 4 places in the Marquesas. It's like party time. The islanders get so excited. They close their shops. They come down to the port. The whole village is there to greet the ship, and you just become part of their village, which is true in a lot of this part of this world. The South Pacific nations are just so special because their cultures haven't been changed as much as you find in the rest of the world, and they're so warm and inviting. You become part of that culture while you're there. In the Marquesas is where the word tattoo, it all began in Marquesas. It's the first documented tattoo, and it's also where the word tattoo came from. The word taboo came from. Tikis, everybody thinks the tiki god is from Hawaii. Started in Marquesas. They have the biggest tiki statues in the entire world. They have an island that you can go to where, they're just massive tiki statues. So, that's a wonderful itinerary. And then Fiji is another one that's very special, very difficult and expensive to get to. That's why a cruise is, a good idea. The 12 or 13 nights. But that one's a one-way. So you start out in Tahiti, you do the 5 Society Islands, and then you sail and go to 3 or 4 places in Fiji and Tonga and the Cook Islands in a 12 or 13 night. But then you fly home from Fiji, or you do it in the reverse. So it's a little bit more expensive airfare, but well worth it because you're seeing 4 different nations, 4 different island nations.
Quite a diversity. It sounds like every island you go to has its own little flavor and difference.
They are. They're very special. It's just like the rest of Asia. So many people think Vietnam is Cambodia and etc. These islands are so special and unique, and they are influenced by a different part of Europe. As I mentioned before, it might be a Portuguese influence or British or French, which then brings in that element as well. Can you tell I'm a history nut? Sorry.
There in that area, there's a lot of history in that area.
Yeah, there is, definitely.
But now, what makes then a Paul Gauguin cruise so memorable? You mentioned a little bit about some of the things that go on board.
So, of course, it's the islands. It's this gorgeous water. You can see beautiful water in a lot of places in the world. I worked at another cruise line, and so I like to pick on the Cayman Islands because that's easy for me to do. So you've got the Stingray, excursion, for instance, in the Caymans, right? So you've got 200 people and 5 stingrays. Well, flip it, and now you're over here in Bora Bora, Moorea, and you're doing a stingray excursion, and you have maybe 5, 10 people and 200 stingrays.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, there's not as many visitors, which makes it extremely memorable. You know, you can look at and compare Tahiti to Hawaii, which we often are because we're both so similar Polynesian nations. And the number of visitors, the Hawaiian Islands, which are lovely, those 5 islands get in 6 days. It takes our 5 islands a whole year, and we still don't meet that number.
Wow.
Which means then again, you're coming to a destination with fewer visitors. It's not as crowded, which means the abundance of the marine life is going to amaze you. Can you imagine being able to get in the water and snorkel while there's baby whales around?
Amazing.
Oh.
That sounds amazing. But is there a better time of year, Sharla, to go to the French Polynesia?
You know, I always think that it should be based on why a person is traveling, first of all, and then go from there. Now, people always say, well, when is the rainy season? Well, you know, we were just talking before we started. I got snow in Houston. Weather patterns are difficult to predict anymore. Traditionally, historically, December, January, February are the rainy season. However, some years April might be the rainiest month. So you can't plan on that. June, July, and August are peak honeymoon romance. So that's going to be your most expensive. So if you're looking for value, it's the most crowded, it's the most expensive. So avoid June, July, and August unless you're looking for honeymoon or family travel. I personally love the spring and the fall. But then again, you know, if you're into whales, you want to go in the spring to see the whale. You know, if you are going to snorkel and you want the peak prime conditions, you want to, I'm a diver rather, not snorkeling, diving, then you want to dive in the summer or you want to dive early fall because the rains can change the water patterns, which changes the marine pattern, which changes your dive experience. So it really needs to be focused on why you're going there. And then let's talk about when the best time to go. But it's beautiful whether the water is bathtub warm, 80 degrees year round. You can be out there snorkeling even when it's raining. It's just gorgeous. It's like what your mom says, if it's lightning, get out of the water. Otherwise, enjoy. Just take it all in.
Wonderful.
But now, Charlotte, I remember when we were there also too that you all have a very special day when you go over to your private island for an excursion that everyone on board can go over and enjoy that full day of activities on your island, on your Motu. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, you are. Matter of fact, the picture behind you is Motu Mahana.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we call it Motu Monday because we usually are on the Mahana on a Monday. It just depends on the voyage, of course. But so the private island experience is unique because there's nothing you have to purchase, which is great, unless you want to buy, of course, a shell necklace or something like that, right? Or some vanilla. But all of your food, your bar, the water toys like kayaking, snorkeling, those are all included. We have paddle boards. So you basically, the whole ship is there for the day, and that we put on a beautiful barbecue, have a full bar, we have showers, restrooms, and then you have this gorgeous lagoon that you can either just take your lawn chair, your beach chair, drag it into the water, sit there all day, or you can jump in a kayak and, kayak around the lagoon, snorkel. There's even floating bars. So when you get thirsty, you don't even need to get out of the water. You just raise your finger and they'll come up to the kayak or float over to you when you're snorkeling. It's really a meltdown day, isn't it? Don't you remember? It was just so relaxing.
It was perfect because you also had some of the cultural events taking place as well. There was music and there was a bit of dancing, but you could also just sit around and talk with the crew as well. That which I enjoyed as well.
Yeah, the Gauguins and the Gaugans are always out there. They spend the whole day telling you everything you always wanted to know about a coconut. They waste nothing. I mean, they make their hats and part of their clothing from the coconuts. They eat the coconut. It's just amazing how the coconut tree and the fruit is such a staple part of their culture. So yeah, that you do need to point that out. That again, you can just hang out with the crew and the Gauguins and just take in their culture.
Sharla, you mentioned your beautiful necklace. Tell us the story about that.
Oh, this is, I'll try to hold it up so everyone can see. On the Cook Island trip, you can find different shells, of course, in different islands. This particular shell is often found in the shallow waters in the Cook Islands, and I actually found this one. And on the beach, there was a mother, daughter, and grandmother that were making these necklaces. There's tiny little seeds in it. I don't know if you can see that, but even these little yellow ones, it's all natural. Even the cord is coconut strands. And so I asked them if they would incorporate my little shell into this necklace they were making and then buy it from them. So it's a nice little souvenir, and it's all handmade. So
I think you mentioned it was $5.
Yes, but I'll tell you a secret. Even my heart is big. I don't, when I see such lovely work, I pay 20. I know some people out there are going to say, wow, you're driving up the prices, but it's just my gift to honor their artistry. But yes, you could find some incredible, beautiful artwork, batik work, like the Pareos, that they hand paint or they batik. It's just incredible work that they do all throughout the islands. And, the more remote you are, Bora Bora, you're going to pay the most prices because you're paying for, I bought this souvenir in Bora Bora, right? It's like you bought something in Paris or New York City. So, the more remote, smaller islands, you can often find just as exquisite a piece of artwork for a much better value. And I think you went home with a few treasures, didn't you, Annita?
I did. As a matter of fact, you and I shopped together at a place where it was a little bit more expensive and bought a couple of really beautiful, custom-made, handmade, very unique, kind of artistic pieces with pearls and everything.
Yeah. Didn't you get a lariat pearl? And the black pearls are, of course, famous in the South Pacific. So I do recall you went home with some of those.
Oh, yeah. Stephen,
yes.
I don't miss any shopping opportunities, right, Stephen?
No, I was just going to say the same. Out of all my friends, Annita is, I think, a borderline shopaholic. She loves to shop. Even if we have like 10 minutes at an airport, she'll be in the shop and come out with shopping bags. Quite incredible.
Anyway. Yeah, that must be why we like each other.
Something in common there, I think.
But Sharla, yes, we like to pull 5 places. I know this is going to be tough. And tell something that's an insider tip, an insider secret that maybe people don't know, or that will kind of maybe help people also determine maybe which of the itineraries that they want to choose. So what are 5 destinations that you have some insider tips for?
Obviously the Society Islands are top. That 7-night cruise, everyone wants to do the 7-night cruise, Bora Bora, Moorea. Inside tip, a lot of people want to stay in an over-the-water bungalow, right?
Yes.
Especially honeymooners. The cost is exorbitant. These islands are so remote. A lot is imported. It's very expensive food, entertainment, and any kind of beverage that's not their local beer, Hinano. So when you compare our 7-night cruise, which allows you an overnight Tahiti, Bora Bora, and Moorea, you're seeing 5 islands and 7 nights instead of maybe 1 or 2. You're saving $2,000 to $3,000 easily. Plus, you can't fly between the islands and get to them easily like the Hawaiian Islands. You can hop around those 5 islands. Here you can't do that. Very remote. Very difficult to see more than 1 or 2 islands in a week on your own. So, and then with the Cook Islands, as we talked about before, there not only is it a different culture, different ancestry, but It's where those giant clams are. You remember those giant clams? Oh my gosh. Insider tip, you want to snorkel in the Cook Islands. Aitutaki Lagoon is one of the most desired lagoons in the world, but it's also one of the most difficult for ships to go into. I compare it to Alaska a lot of times. Those of you who've been to Alaska, Sitka is often a port that you can't get into because of the current. Same thing with Aitutaki. There's a very small, narrow passageway into the lagoon, and the tenders sometimes can't make it in and out of that. So we're one of the few cruise lines that we even take on the endeavor to go there. And we always have a second stop just in case Aitutaki doesn't work out. We're going to take you to Rarotonga. And then I think Fiji, we talked about that. Obviously, Fiji's hot no matter how you get there. It's always been a dive destination. But it's becoming more and more and more one of the bucket list destinations. It's hard to get to. And again, it's very expensive resort-wise, but just a gorgeous place to dive, to snorkel. The people are incredibly wonderful. Their customs and cultures are amazing to experience. And one of, I think, the destinations you don't hear too much about, and it's hard to get to, is Tonga. Tonga is a kingdom. It's the last Polynesian kingdom. And we have to go there by invitation of the King of Tonga. So it's kind of unique that we even get to go there. A lot of cruise lines put in for that, and they're not accepted. They don't want a lot of visitors. They're very protective of their island nation. And then Papua New Guinea is also a destination we go to every few years that's very popular. And we go to the UNESCO site. We get permission to go to 3 areas, and a lot of times you're only allowed to go into 1. But because, again, our focus on sustainability as a company, that's why we're invited to a lot of. So you want to look at, the company, what they stand for, and our stand for sustainability gives us the ability to take you to places that you might not be able to go to with other companies that might not be so focused on our planet.
I think a very interesting insider tip there, Sharla, was 7 nights in a bungalow over the water, or 7 nights on one of your beautiful cruises. That's right. I know which one I'd go for, and save money too.
And you could still, the night that we're in Bora Bora, you could still leave the ship and go stay in a bungalow for 1 night if you wanted. So you could still, or you could do a pre or post. Yep. So you can do a combo deal, and that way you get a little bit of the bungalow and save a bunch of money and see a lot more. The big tip for me is you see so much more French Polynesia.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yvette and I actually stayed in an overwater bungalow. We did a pre-stay before we joined the cruise. And it was nice. It was really special. We stayed up most of the night because we didn't want to sleep. We wanted to be up to enjoy that.
I know, and everybody wants that breakfast, right? They want the long canoe breakfast, and they want the coffee table that's an aquarium, and it's definitely a wonderful experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you're paying that money, you probably don't want to miss it, so you're up 24 hours making the most of it. Don't want to sleep while you're spending that money. Well, Annita, it's time for Fact Check. So Anita's been busily researching interesting facts about the South Pacific and come up with, I think, 6 facts. But we can't be sure they're right because, you can Google stuff and find all sorts of stuff. So our expert here, Sharla, from Paul Gauguin Cruises, is going to fact check Annita. Now, every time we do this, we give Annita a prize. So what would you say, Sharla, is the number 1 souvenir that people bring back from the South Pacific?
Number 1 would be a pearl, a South Pacific pearl, black pearl.
That's going to be an expensive week for me now, Sharla, if I have to give Annita a black pearl for every one she gets right. But we'll go with it. I'll make sure I save. The next time I see I've already got excess baggage where Annita's won so many prizes on previous weeks. But previous weeks are kind of pretzels, cava wine, and things like that. So I think Black Pearls is in a different league. But we'll go for it. So, Annita, what's your fact number one that you need to fact check?
Well, I always have to say that I am keeping my own little personal list over here. And remember, for Germany, we did talk about a Porsche, so don't forget that.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I conveniently forgot about that one.
I look very nice in my Black Pearls in the Porsche.
Nice combo.
Those go together well. And Sharla, may I please ask, please be kind to me because I hope these are correct. So are you ready? It's you.
I'm ready.
It's you and me, babe. All right, so here's fact number one. Coral reefs cover just 1% of the world's ocean floor, but are home to 25% of the world's marine life. And
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, you are absolutely right. Isn't that amazing, though, that the coral reefs have so much of the marine life, and yet they're really not that much of the overall ocean?
yeah.
So
But
think about
You can see them, though. You can go snorkeling and diving with you all right and see them.
you don't even need to dive. You can snorkel. I mean, you see coral reefs all over the South Pacific that can be seen by snorkeling. And that's another thing that makes this part of the world different than other parts of the world. A lot of coral reefs are so deeply entrenched in thicker, deeper water, even in trenches. And so they're, you can see them only by diving, but not so here.
Well, that's definitely one of those insider tips that you want to check out. So, Black Pearl there, Stephen?
One pearl. I'm keeping track. What's your next one, Annita?
All right, fact number two. When the missionaries came to Tahiti, they tried to suppress the powerful, life-affirming, and sensual sounds and movements that embodied the music and dance of Tahiti. I hope that was not true, actually.
It's sad, but true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, the missionaries were there to try to convert them, to Catholicism or Christianity or whatever religion they were representing. And so obviously, as it's true in lots of places in the world, the local customs were, they tried to alter them, and they did alter quite a bit, like the way they dressed, but they can't change the soul of a South Pacific person. Just like you can't change the soul of the people in Africa.
Yeah.
It's there, and they're going to dance and they're going to sing. They're not going to change. So you were right. Sad but true.
Sad but true.
Two pearls.
She's getting a necklace, Stephen.
Yeah.
I know. It'll be a whole string of pearls.
My.
I think he just said I get 2 pearls for that one, right?
No, I said it was the second pearl. Nice try, Annita.
All righty. I'm always trying to sneak one in there. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Charlotte, here we go. Fact number 3. Yet there are 2 U.S. Army cannons on the island of Bora Bora. I'm thinking you probably know this one. Is that true, though?
It is true, and I have been to the top of that hill to see those cannons, and what a lovely view you have. You've got this incredible view. But yes, after Pearl Harbor was attacked, we built a little garrison there and had some, men stationed there with the cannons should they ever need to be fired, and they were never fired. So the lovely people of French Polynesia are always very grateful to Americans because we protected them, even though we didn't have to fire a shot.
Yay. That's a good news one.
Yeah, there's a lot of World War II history throughout the South Pacific. That's partly why we focus on that, because there is that's another whole type of trip. People return just like they do to Europe. To the battlegrounds there of World War II. They do the same thing in the South Pacific, and a stop in Bora Bora, a stop in Guadalcanal, etc. So this would be a World War II heritage site.
Well, Charlotte, that's also another good insider tip that I always talk about theme travel. So someone who is a historian or a World War II, buff, that kind of thing, could definitely come and see quite a few things here, because I think people do think just of Hawaii.
Right. And it's not just Americans, a lot of Asians travel and see the World War II history too, just like the Europeans. So it's, you know, it's something that the whole world shares together, remembering that World War and hoping we never have it again.
Absolutely.
Well, this fact check is great because we're getting an idea of the diversity of the South Pacific and all the different things you can see there and different reasons to go.
That's
so
right.
You're on 3 pearls, Annita. Go for your 4th.
All right, here's number 4. So I often look back through my passport, and the stamps bring back lots of memories. And I also have one of a foot, the shape of a foot. So there's a 1-foot island where you can get this. So I know this to be a true fact, but I just wanted to share it with you so we could talk about it a little bit.
Yes, we both have that stamp. That's why you know it's true. When you go to the Cook Islands, you can take a short excursion to visit 1-foot island. And the interesting thing, that the heritage side of that, again, it's a little bit of history. This is Maorian history. So out of New Zealand, the ancient Maorians, they were supposed to get permission to fish, and the local fisherman decided to go out with his son and fish on his own. And the Maorian chief and warriors saw that somebody had been fishing, and so they were on their trail. And the father, to protect his son, sent his son ahead of him, but he stepped in his son's footsteps so that it looked like there was only one man, 1 foot. So he saved his son's life. And they found only the father. They never found the son. So he was saved. So that's kind of the history behind it. But it's interesting because you can get a very unique passport stamp that's in the shape of a foot. So it makes it a fun souvenir.
Stephen,
That's a wonderful story and a great souvenir.
Yes. And only about 10,000 people a year get that.
wow.
They're in an exclusive group with one of those. I need to join it. I'm feeling left out here because you do have it.
Yeah, but you know, Stephen, I think for Annita's benefit, the fact that she has that stamp, 1 out of 10,000, she should maybe get 3 pearls on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That jumps to 7 pearls, 6 pearls I think you're on now, Annita. You are going to get a complete pearl necklace from me by the end of this fact check.
Well, I think we should just settle it at that for this fact check, I get
The whole necklace, okay.
I mean, all the way around now, not just like, you know.
Not just a little cluster.
Not just a little cluster. All right, so here's another one. So Fiji consists of 332 islands, over 500,000 square feet. Is that true? Is that many islands?
132 that they say are really truly islands, and out of those 332, there's 110 that are truly inhabited. And you know, the population on, think about 110 islands, 800,000 people. So it's still not very populated, is it? So it's still, Fiji is one of those gems of a place where you could have an island all to yourself, right? Yeah, very charming. And it's the history there too is fun, you know. It's only been an independent republic since 1987, and they're very proud of that. They're very hospitable and strong, wonderful people in Fiji. That's why it's so popular to go to.
Well, my last, did I get a pearl on that, or we just...
Well, we're not counting anymore because you've got the necklace. I think it'd probably be cheaper now than buying all those pearls just to get a complete necklace.
So should we tell them that the necklace is actually like 20 or 30 pearls?
Yeah.
Ooh.
You promised it. Hey, folks, we heard him, didn't he? Said she got a necklace.
It's recorded.
It's recorded.
Steven's my brother, so it's okay. He's excited to give me a necklace. I can tell.
I can't wait.
All
Well,
right.
you know, there are some really nice replicas of South Pacific pearls too. You know?
Ooh, tell me about that later, Sharla. Not right now.
Wait a minute, Sharla. Okay, so here's the last fact. Fiji is the home of kava drinking tradition. Get that out. When entering a village tradition is that you bring a gift of kava root, and the root is then pounded, mixed with water, and strained. and everybody sits in a circle, and the chief drinks first. And when it's your turn, you clap once, gulp it down, then clap 3 times.
And doesn't that sound fun? I'm Irish, so any kind of drinking game sounds fun to me. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
It is true. Yeah, they do it as a welcoming thing. It's part of their tradition. And once you go through this ceremony, you are then part of that village. Every village does this, and you can buy the kava root in local marketplaces, or sometimes when you're on a tour, the tour guide will actually have it for you. And so you bring the root to the village as a gift, and then they prepare it. And so as you sit there and you drink it, you've got to drink it like a shot. So, do your best shot, drink it in one gulp, and then you say bula. But you say bula. You're supposed to say
Bula.
Bula. Right. And then after you drink it, then they clap 3 times and they say maka, which means it is done, it is finished, you're now part of us. So it's a lovely tradition to be part of. But kava's kind of a mild sedative. So you get really relaxed. And if you drink too much of it, your tummy can get upset. So don't overdo it with the kava. If you do it in their little circle, that's a good thing. And then maybe don't do it anymore the rest of the day. You might be sleeping through Fiji.
That's a good insider tip right there.
Yes. Stick to one kava shot.
Stick to one kava shot.
Right.
Well, that brings me down to the end of my facts. So thank you, Sharla, for checking me on those.
My pleasure. Good job.
Well done on your pearl necklace, and talk to you later, Sharla, about, the fakes.
Well, you do. That is an insider tip. You have to be very, very careful. I said that on purpose, just so that I could put in one more insider tip. Make sure that you buy your pearls from a reputable, jeweler or artist, because they're easily replicated, and you could pay a whole lot of money for a piece of plastic.
That's good to know. Any little tip on how you can tell whether it's a fake, or you really need to be an expert for that?
Well, no, if you can, the shopkeeper might not let you, but if you can scrape it, then, it always peels off. And if it feels plastic, it kind of gives a little, but, and there's all different kinds of pearls too. There's the seed pearls, which are kind of lumpy and uneven shaped, and those could be an actual pearl. They're not as valuable as the round ones that are polished. And then the colors also are in variants from pink to yellow to green on into the deep black. And so they grade them in the size and the colors and the opulence of them. But, you want to go to, I always have people go to a reputable pearl place for, like in the international marketplace in Papiete upstairs. There's some wonderful little artists that have shops that they have such unique designs, but they also can teach you. Or you can go to a pearl, and they'll teach you as well how to recognize, the best quality in the pearl. So you get the best value for your money. I'll be happy to go with you, Annita. I know a great pearl farm in Ta'a. We can go over there and check it out first.
Yes, absolutely.
And then send me the bill.
You come along too, Stephen. We'll let you come along. It's your money out.
Yeah, because I've got to pay. Well, that's the fact check. So thank you so much, Sharla. And the final part of the show, which we have on every show, is the saying of the week, where I share a bizarre saying from the UK, which may or may not have spread worldwide. I don't know that. So I'll share this week's saying of the week and see if you two have heard it. Barking up the wrong tree. Are you familiar with that?
I have heard that, barking up the wrong tree.
And Annita?
Yes, I've actually used that a time or two.
Okay, you've been telling people they're barking up the wrong tree, have you? Barking. Yeah, barking up the tree means, you're going off in the wrong direction, or saying something that's not correct, got a wrong idea or something. And it actually comes from the old days where they had hunting dogs. And if a hunting dog was barking up a tree where the prey wasn't in that tree, the prey was in a different tree, of course, the dog would be barking up the wrong tree. That then became a saying for, going in the wrong direction with your argument, etc. You are barking up the wrong tree. There you go.
Sharla, can you tell us where we are in each of our backdrops?
Absolutely. We're in 3 different destinations. I didn't even ask them to do this. This just worked out beautifully. So Annita is enjoying her day on Motumahana, and I am floating around the beautiful Captain Cook Bay and Moorea, and Stephen is being amongst the celebrities in Bora Bora. So
of course.
We pretty well have it
covered.
Sounds right, with the celebrities.
Yes.
And all beautiful blue water. So absolutely. But this has been great, guys. Thank you so much for watching us. And as always, please like and subscribe. That's like and subscribe. Right down below, you can do it really easily. Hit that subscribe button so that each time a new video comes out with a new wonderful expert like our Sharla today, that you can be the first to hear about it and watch and get some tips. So when it's time to start traveling again, you're ready to start planning and going too.
Absolutely. And please send us any comments or feedback in the comments below. We'll put the website for Paul Gauguin Cruises and other useful websites in the description below. And we look forward to seeing you on our next show. And thank you so much, Sharla. You've been a fabulous guest. Learned so much about the South Pacific.
My pleasure. As the Tahitians would say, maruru nana. Thank you and bye-bye.
Marura nana. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Nana. Maru nana.
Yeah, usually they don't say it. Maruru is thank you and nana is bye-bye.
Thank you so much. This has been great. It's good to see you, Sharla. You guys.
Always good.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
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 Nana.